Hello again, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of Tech Times Daily. I'll be your host for today, Christian Tijares, and with me is my co-host, Christopher the Nonstopper, the king of the ring of conversations and jovial banter. He believes stupidity should be taxed. The great Christopher Short. Hey, Chris,
Yeah. What's
what's
up,
up?
man? How's it going?
Good, good, good. Like, thank you to those that actually watched the previous episode. Were surprised with the reaction of people. You were
Mm,
expecting the hate, honestly.
yeah, we were anticipating the smoke.
We were prepared with receipts, but you never actually came. So thank you for being merciful.
Oh, and an update on that actually.
Yeah,
Shortly after that episode aired, the song was removed.
yeah. It was uh actually taken down by Spotify immediately, right?
Mm,
But we
but
didn't
yeah,
actually receive any statement from Drake's camp, right?
right. I like to think it's because of our episode that Drake was like, all right, they have a point. Let's take it
The Degrassi Mafia.
down. Roll up on you.
Anyway, on a much lighter note, when it comes to the news, like we have this coming from the UK. Like it seems like they are trying to go back to basics when it comes to their cybersecurity. So the news today actually comes from us from our Tech Times writer, Aldon Domingo. World's first UK to officially ban weak passwords. The United Kingdom is now reportedly set to crack down on common and weak passwords, requiring manufacturers of internet connected devices to direct users to change common security keys. The new legislation is also set to make security and update reports clearer. The Product Security and Telecommunications Infrastructure Regime imposes minimal requirements that must be met to avoid penalties. According to the government, the regulations are a world's first that will guard UK businesses and consumers against cybercrime and increase the nation's resistance to it. So, Chris, was there ever a need to force this legislation that this might just be an overreaction?
Uh, an overreaction, yeah, probably. I think so. But I mean, what's the other options? Right? Like people, I mean, we've had this has been a thing for a long time, right? Like you try to do a password and it's like not enough characters, or you got to have one capital, one character, or one, what's it called? One symbol, one number, one capital letter, one, or, you know. So, I mean, there's certain websites that require already very extensive passwords.
Yeah. But do you think setting rules like that actually makes it easier to actually hack your passwords because there's a certain number of characters that just for them to just actually decipher in certain sets?
Yeah, well, I think this is something that we talk about often on here. Like regulation is always playing catch up. And this is just another instance where I'm sure these hacker teams, these professional, fraudsters or whatever, they're probably already a couple steps ahead of this, to be honest.
Yeah, because just to open your phone, I think it just takes your fingerprint, either that or a pin, a six-digit one.
Yeah,
Like they
or
basically just
sometimes
made it
just
so you can use your birthday for it.
right, or sometimes your facial, mine goes off of face, finger, pin. I have all those things. A location, actually. I use a Samsung Galaxy. I don't know what number it is, 20 something. And I can set the GPS to where, like, if I'm in my house, I don't need a pin. But as soon as I go outside and I try to open it, it requires some type of uh security measure.
But there is still that adolescence of the technology. Like we have facial recognition, we have fingerprint, but we do still use the pin, right? When we
Yeah,
use our passwords for a device, that's because we don't actually trust the other ones to actually work 100% of the time.
right, right.
So we have complete trust in the technology that is actually working 100% of the time. There is no longer a need for us to actually use these passwords with characters in them.
I think this is more so focused on because I know sometimes I'm actually surprised, right? Like there's been a couple times in the past few weeks where I've created an account for something, and because I have, and I may be, this would maybe probably affect people like me. I have basically two versions of a password that I use, or I
Hmm.
guess three, depends. Like sometimes they only want a capital letter. Sometimes it's eight, at least eight characters, one capital letter. That I use this one. If they don't ask for any of that, then I use a very basic one. If they need numbers, then I use another version of the same thing. So I'm surprised, and I have been, like I said, a couple times in the past few weeks where it's like, oh, there's not many requirements for this. Like my most basic version of my password is accepted, and that's rare.
Yeah, especially when these passwords want you to format things a certain way. I think it really does make it easier for hackers to actually get your passwords. How do you usually actually make your passwords, by the way? What are your criteria when making one?
Um, I don't want to give away too much information, but uh, typically it's something, obviously something I'm not going to forget. Um, and yeah, I don't want to give away too much information because it's really kind of basic, honestly. And if I give, it'd be like giving a clue. If I give a clue here, I'm pretty
You're
sure, like, yeah, yeah, they'll be like, okay, that helps. But in my defense, and actually, I kind of take this personally. This happened. This I see, like, let's say Facebook, for example, right?
yeah.
I've gotten messages from people, from friends and family, people on Facebook. Um, like I got one from my brother actually, and our names on Facebook aren't the same, right? So we don't, you wouldn't know that we're brothers unless you know we're brothers. And he got hacked, and somebody sent me a message, and it was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I was like, first, this is weird. That's not how we communicate. And
Yeah.
then it's like, I'm in a bad spot. Like, I need some money. Can you help me out? And I was like, I had this intuition, right? Because I mean, it's my brother. Like, I know there's a language we speak, and I was like, yeah, I'll send you $1,000 right now if you can tell me how we met. Yeah, they were like, oh, that's easy. We met in school, and I was like, okay, well, you're blocked. But I personally, my Facebook, I've had it for, I don't know, 15 years or something. I've had it for a long time, longer than that, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, a long time. I've never been hacked,
Yeah, same here.
and I almost take it personally. Like, why don't y'all want to hack my shit?
I think mine would be a bit harder because when I do my passwords, I don't do it in 2020, 2010. I did my passwords back in 2002.
Hmm.
I used the receipt numbers of the prepaid internet cards that I buy, and those are 11 digits that are completely randomized and alphanumeric. I remember five sets up to these days that I actually just
Well,
move around. So that's how I create my passwords. I've been using that since 2002. Never been hacked once. So yeah, do you think it's just a matter of being creative and or a bit more imaginative when it comes to these passwords? That's why people are being hacked. And the same time with the developers and how they actually create these securities. Are
um,
they thinking more that people are not that sophisticated to actually handle complex security settings for their devices?
so do you mean that the manufacturers make it easy
Yeah,
for Joe Public to
because they're trying, I guess, in terms of accessibility, I feel like they're trying to dumb it down to the consumers that are going to be buying it. Like,
yeah,
there is a sense that if you make things completely accessible, it also makes it accessible to criminals.
Right. I I would imagine it's one of those, we did our part, now it's up to you. Like it's not my responsibility to protect your shit.
Yeah, that's why I asked if this was an overreaction on the part of the UK
Um,
government.
well, I feel that it's very in line with governments these days, right? Government overreach is a thing nowadays. I mean, it came to a head during the pandemic when the government was like, you can't see your family. And now it's, your password's not strong enough. The government says, uh, you know, so yeah, overreaction, overreach. But it's also on, it's our responsibilities as citizens, as productive people in society to, not only protect ourselves, but, make it as difficult as possible for, you know, criminals to seep in. You don't want to be the weak link, right? Like you don't want to be the weak link.
Yeah, and with the resurgence of AI being, I think, in a sense, being adapted to the use for cybercrime, do you think this is more concerning just for the government rather than for the everyone, for the everyday people? I think they should just be more centered on themselves and how they actually conduct their business to avoid any hacks within the government.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean,
Because
I imagine,
I doubt the government is using consumer grade products within their agencies.
right, that's what I was about to say. I imagine this is very much,
This is pretty niche, right?
I think so. But I mean, I think it's also a problem, maybe for the older generation, right? Like who still uses, your marriage anniversary in reverse. You know, it's kind of I mean, I guess I have to see this as a good thing because it'll just maybe give us that motivation that a lot of us maybe don't have to actually do what you do and make a very difficult password.
Yeah, in a sense, it also gives a reflection of who's working for you in your government system. Like,
Yeah,
if these aren't savvy enough to make better passwords and better securities, and they are handling the government and its
right.
faculty, like like you said, stupidity needs to be taxed.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the people that are collecting the tax are hackers, right? Your stupidity costs maybe you, but definitely makes them some money.
Yeah, I figured now in 2024 we could have been past the password thing and have found something much more reliable in actually using devices.
Right.
But with all the sci-fi stuff that we've been watching in movies and TVs, like voice commands, voice recognition,
Mhm.
facials, and retina scans, like my guess is the hackers and the cyber criminals have already accounted for these advancements, right?
Right.
They have much more adjusted with the technology rather than the ones that are actually being victimized.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, do you think it is up to the government to, to, yeah, maybe not necessarily an overreaction, but are they not staying in their lane?
I think pretty much they should just stick to the regulations and punishments regarding these cyber crimes,
Mm,
but they can actually collaborate with the manufacturers of these products on how to make things better. The one issue regarding cyber attacks is the government can't be too transparent when it comes to sharing their data or their breaches to the public or to any companies,
right.
because at the end of the day these companies are also businesses.
And I have a question here. I mean, I feel like this is subjective. Like, you know what I mean?
That's where what
Like,
we're here for. So
yeah, it's like who determines what's weak? hackers, they say, oh, that was a difficult one, or that was too easy. But other than that, like, who
Anything
determines?
anything that hadn't gone through a Family Guy or Simpson sketch, I guess.
I mean, why not just mandate that everyone use wingdings for passwords?
Yeah, that's the thing. There hasn't been a password where it uses symbols, right? Would it make it even harder for hackers to actually do that? Like make it font specific?
Font
Maybe that's the
specific.
next maybe that's the next step.
I mean, I
Makes
think
it
there's a lot of different, yeah, font size, the font itself.
But then again,
Yeah,
going back to the accessibility of things, these are still businesses. They would want their products to be accessible to their users.
true.
Like tightening the security would also close the door for those that they want to buy their products.
Right. And I mean, I feel like this would eventually, like now, it's like, oh, why you want to tell me, or I don't want to do this, or my passwords are fine. But a generation down the road, it's going to be maybe be better off for this, right? You create this generation of excellent password makers.
Yeah, among the products that actually are included in this are actually electronics, including phones, TVs, and smart doorbells. We've discussed doorbells off camera a couple of days ago. What's your take on them?
What I'm sorry, he was
Smart doorbells.
smart doorbells.
I
uh,
guess that's what they call them in the UK.
yeah. I mean, like Ring.com and those things,
Yeah,
or Ring or whatever it is. I think they're great. Um, I think it's an added level of security to your home. It's also kind of futuristic. Like, you can be at work and talk to the Amazon guy. Uh, but it comes with it's kind of like it's a two-edged blade, right? Like, uh, it increases security unless that security measure is compromised, and now all your security is, in trouble.
and what makes it even more harder nowadays? There are a bunch of tutorials online, even on YouTube, on how to bypass this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So there's also the ease of information. Not, you don't have to be that high of a cyber criminal to actually get access to these information that's needed. So that's
Right.
another problem.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I guess when it comes to home gadgets, right? Like, I guess they can hack in and listen, hack into your locking mechanisms, um, hack into your emergency, protocol things like,
You know, Alexa has been watching you sleep, right? So
mm,
it's
yeah,
already a
yeah, she talks about us behind her back. Yeah,
while you're not home, letting people in the house. So,
right.
well, hopefully things improve on the cybersecurity front with the advancement of technologies. I think we are gonna need it because there will come a time when the machines are gonna be smarter than us, and that's not a tall order for machines
Right.
with the way things are going. So hope everyone keeps safe. Keep your data safe and your identity safe.
Yeah, take some time and make a good password. And write it on a piece of paper and tape it under your desk if you have to, but like make it good because it really these days it matters more nowadays than ever, I would imagine.
Unless you're the only one who knows your birthday, don't use it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't use dates. Don't use your child's name. Um, don't use your pet's name.
And if it's
Uh,
possible for you, if you're gonna be purchasing a smart home security system, you could possibly discuss with the manufacturer regarding additional securities that are personalized just to you,
yeah.
right? if you got
Yeah.
the money to actually afford a smart home security system, I think they
Right.
could probably make some adjustments, right? Anyway, with that being said, thank you for joining us for another episode of Tech Times Daily. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. And on behalf of my co-host, the great Christopher Short, we'll see you in the next.